In our last class on Saturday, May 5th, we looked at valuing the firm using predicting its residual earnings. In this video, I'm going to review the notes from Saturday, May 5th. When we're evaluating a firm with residual earnings, step 1 will be to solve for residual earnings in each period. We have two formulas for it. Residual earnings equal to the company's earnings minus the expected earnings. Remember, we said that earnings only add a value if they are above expected or required earnings. So remember, R is our required return given the company's risk level, and B is the beginning book value. We think about that as our investment in the firm. Residual earnings are the earnings the company earned above what is required by the investor. We can also look at residual earnings as the return on common stockholders' equity, the difference between the return on common stockholders' equity and the required return times the beginning book value. And remember, return on common stockholders' equity is earnings per share divided by beginning book value. Once we have our forecasted residual earnings, step 2 is to find the present value. And of course, to do that, we're going to discount each one of our future expected residual earnings. This works well if we have a project that has a finite life or uneven cash flows. This worked in the first example of the assignment that I handed out in class, that you worked on in class. Nearly all students were able to finish at least that first example. And we saw in that first example that residual earnings eventually became 0 and continued to be 0. So we were able to just discount each one of those residual earnings. But what about the scenario in which the company expects we as the analyst expect residual earnings to reach constant growth or just reach constant residual earnings? You'll see examples of those in examples 2 and 3 of that assignment that I handed out in class. If that's the case, we need to find the horizon value. Remember, horizon value is also called the continuing value or the terminal value. This continuing value, or horizon value, is equal to the next residual earnings divided by R minus G, where R, again, is the required return, and G is that constant growth rate. Of course, if we have a company that's like example 2 that you'll see in the assignment from class from May 5th, you'll see example 2 has a growth rate of 0. So we have what can be considered a perpetuity, constant residual earnings for the remainder of time divided by the discount rate. You should see in example 3 of the in-class assignment that we do have a constant growth rate in example 3. So that's step 3, find the horizon value. This is very similar to what we did using the discounted dividend model and the discounted cash flow model. What do you think we need to do in step 4? Of course, discount. Find the present value of the horizon or continuing value. So we take that horizon value that we found in step 3, and we divide it by 1 plus R. And then we have to discount it. How many periods? I'm just going to say for the sake of these notes, n periods, where n equals the number of years out at which we assume the company achieves what? How do you think I'm going to finish this sentence? This is the point in class where I will look around the classroom and typically, especially in an undergrad class, see everybody look away from me. What do you think the company achieves? What do you think N represents? It's when the number of years out in which the company achieves constant growth. That's what our N will represent. And now you should know exactly what step 5 is going to be. Add the present value of the residual earnings that we found in step 2, the present value of the horizon value that we found in step 4, and one more factor that I want to make really clear that we cannot forget to include, and the current book value. That is the number that will be given in the problem. As real life analysts, we would get that from the balance sheet. Don't forget to add the current book value. And then we will get the predicted value of the firm, what we estimate the firm to be worth. In the next few videos, I'm going to work through some examples. If you are fine with the examples that I presented in class and assignment 1 was fine for you, what I would recommend that you do is proceed directly to the practice problems that are posted on Blackboard. Solutions are at the end. But if you would like to, if you think you might benefit from viewing a few more problems worked out, I will work through those in the next few videos.